Welcome to Astrology Heals, a podcast that brings you messages of hope and healing from the planets. I'm your host, Marina, author and founder of Astrology Heals. I'm an evolutionary and transformational astrologer of over 30 years. My purpose is to help you live your authentic truth with clarity, courage, and creative power. Welcome to episode 5. In this podcast, we're looking at the extraordinary astrology of the times we are moving through, how to understand what is happening, make sense of it, and understand your own path. In our last episode, I spoke about the June 29th Capricorn full moon, another potent moment as we move into some very unusual alignments in July of this year. And for today, I want to take a look at why things feel so unprecedented and how that relates to specifically the Saturn Neptune conjunction that took place in February 2026. It came very close also in 2025. So in this 2-year period from 2025 to 2026, we are essentially beginning a new Saturn-Neptune cycle. Saturn and Neptune have a cycle that lasts between 35 to 37 years. And this particular Saturn-Neptune cycle gives us a really, really big picture view of our evolution. This particular Saturn-Neptune conjunction, the beginning of a new cycle that aligned exactly on February 20th, 2026, happened at a very important part of the zodiac, 0 degrees Aries. And 0 degrees Aries is called the world point in mundane astrology. It's also the beginning of the zodiac. It's the first degree of the first sign. And it comes immediately after the last degree of the last sign. Because, of course, the zodiac is a circle. Well, it's not a circle, it's a belt. But 0 degrees Aries is the beginning. And 29 degrees Pisces is the end. So when any planet crosses that threshold between the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries, we go through a kind of death and rebirth process. And it's not always a big deal. Every month, the moon crosses that threshold. But when we notice the symbolism of this part of the zodiac, it connects deeply to our own understanding and seeing how the death and rebirth cycle plays out. We've had both Saturn and Neptune going through Pisces up until 2025 when they both first dipped their feet in Aries and then retrograded back into Pisces. They both are coming out of Pisces. For Neptune, since 2011 is when it went into Pisces. And for Saturn, it's been in Pisces since 2023. Both planets at the same time, spending this time going across this boundary into Aries, back to Pisces. And then they made their exact conjunction at the very beginning of Aries. And in this case, it's not only the Saturn-Neptune cycle, which this cycle of Saturn and Neptune lasts until 2061, but it's also the first time that we've had Saturn and Neptune meet at 0 degrees Aries since 4361 BC. I've actually done a whole guest speaker series on this topic called the Emergence series, which you can find at transformationalastrology.com. Louise Eddington pointed out that the last time Saturn and Neptune were conjunct at 0 degrees Aries was also the beginning of an age. Right now, we're at the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And in 4361 BC, we were at the beginning of the age of Taurus. So it's been 3 ages since we had this conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, over 6,000 years between the two. And changing ages is not a thing that happens overnight. There's a transitional time, the time basically that we're in now as we move into the age of Aquarius, but just very interesting that we have this alignment at 0 degrees Aries. So this is just some perspective to understand why things feel so unprecedented right now, and maybe why we're having a hard time orienting ourselves. We're worried about what's happening in the world. We want to fix things. We want to make it okay. We feel all the places that don't work. We feel worried for our fellow human beings, worried for ourselves, not sure what's going to happen. So in that feeling of disorientation, of loss, of dissolving, which again is completing that process of Saturn and Neptune moving through Pisces, the end of the zodiac, where we release our old constructs and let go of how we've identified in the past, how we've defined ourselves, how we've seen ourselves, what we see as true. For example, if you look at the world around you right now and you're worried about a social safety net, or you're worried about healthcare, or you're worried about buying a house, or you're worried about younger generations being able to buy a house. These are all examples of how we've counted on things in the past that are not feeling like we can count on them anymore, at least not right now. So we are completing that, and have completed in many ways that process of letting go of the illusion that what we can count on will always be there. And that is a necessary precondition for the rebirth of Aries. We are having this collective disillusionment, this collective experience that we can't control what we thought we could control. We can't, for example, follow the rules and know that we'll be taken care of like in our old age. We have had to go through this process of releasing, of letting go, of allowing or having something taken away from us, with sometimes a feeling of grief, of feeling that lack of control. But what we have instead is this rebirth energy, this brand new beginnings, this what will you do now feeling. And it's been put in all of our laps to say, what do you care about? What do you want? What do you want the future to bring? How do you want to invest in creating the world, or holding on to the things you value, the pieces you want, keeping things we've built in place, or rebuilding them? How do you want to do that in your individual life? So that comes back to Aries, 0 degrees, potent energy of action, courage, risk-taking, pioneering, starting new things, embarking on new directions. So like new identities, new projects, new relationships, new jobs, anything that has the word new in front of it. What we want to think about, how each of us as an individual can make a difference in this death and rebirth process, is to steer, because this is a really, really powerful moment to steer things in the direction we want them to go. So, how you work with this energy is by connecting connecting with something that is a bigger spiritual picture. And that is the other opportunity we had with Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. So not only the dissolution and the release and the letting go and the dying of the old constructs, but also the opportunity to dream and imagine the kind of world we want to live in. What would it be like if it were functioning? If it were the way we want it to be? That is what we've been opened to. We've had our hearts and our minds opened to that need to ask, what do we really want instead? And Neptune is the dream. It is the intangible realm of abstract potential. And Saturn is the tangible way that things take shape. It's what we can see, taste, touch, count on. We know what it is. We can describe it. So the Saturn-Neptune cycle is about how we make our dreams real. And when you recognize that it actually takes almost 4 decades to move through this cycle to really fulfill this promise, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's like it really is a long haul. It's not easy. It's not something we're going to do overnight. So roll up your sleeves, get your own mind wrapped around why you need to be in it for that long haul. And also just what phase of the whole process we're at right now, because right now we are at the very beginning of this Saturn-Neptune cycle that lasts until 2061. It's time to connect with a calling. It needs to be something that is guiding us from that bigger picture of truth, whether that is your spiritual guidance, your intuitive knowing, your inner wisdom, that feeling of what is right, what your heart wants, or even a sense of spiritual or moral clarity. Just that clarity of what needs to happen and why. Also, the clarity of what you will and will not tolerate. What do we want to keep? What do we want to say no to? What do we need? What weeds do we need to pull up and get rid of? Where is the clarity of the boundary to say either no, thank you, or no way in hell, or whatever that is? And then what is it that we want to feed instead? What is it we want to nurture and cultivate and support so that it can grow and develop? Because this phase of the process where we are right now is about connecting with your sense of what is true and right, what your heart wants, what has meaning to you, what you care about, and why. Beyond just obviously wanting security for yourself and your family and your community, wanting that safety and security is where we begin. But why? Why do we want that? What matters in the bigger picture for our families, our communities, and the wider world? Connecting with that bigger picture of why, with the dream, with the calling, and that calling is what you will be working on for the next however many, maybe for the rest of your life. And whether you are planning to be around for the rest of this cycle or not, the energy is the same. And the energy is what is calling you now. Where do you need to find your courage? Where do you need to take risks? So I don't care if you are 18 or 99. Right now, it's the same question. Where do you need to take risks? What do you need to move in a direction that is true and right, that is according to what your heart wants, in a direction that has meaning for you? So finding that calling, connecting with it, starting there. moving something forward, taking that first step. You do not have to have it all figured out, and you don't even have to succeed with those first steps. It's just about taking the first steps. And that is the part of the process that we are in now, and we will be in for the next couple of years until 2028, when Saturn goes into Taurus, and then we'll have another phase. But for this next couple of years, we're working on courage. We're working on new beginnings. We're working on taking action, initiating, pioneering, innovating, risk-taking, taking those first initial steps to move in the direction of what is meaningful, what matters to you. We're at this beginning of this 35-year cycle that is about making dreams real, dreams that haven't been possible, maybe not even for thousands of years. So open your mind, open your heart, and it's not going to happen without us, right? It's up to us to make it happen. Aries is action. It is life force energy that needs to move in a direction. So those of us who are alive right now, we're here for this reason. And we have maybe even been doing our own personal growth work up until now. Maybe all of that gets to be part of who you are and what you're doing next. So this is the time of new beginnings. It is not going to feel comfortable necessarily. It's like being a brand new baby who has to learn language, has to learn how to walk, has to learn how to get their needs met, right? All of that is true in the context of what you are at the beginning of. So it's a perfect time to take risks, to start that thing that you've been wanting to start, to do that thing that your soul is calling you to do. And even if you've been doing it or working on it already, there's something new to step into. There's something bigger. There's some confidence to develop in your own courage and authenticity. So what are you starting? What are you investing your energy and effort into? What are you putting your action toward to move forward? And how is that connected to bigger questions of what's important to you and why? And not how you're going to get there, but just that you are moving something forward that feels true and right to you. And that is what we are all collectively being invited to do. You don't have to have it all figured out, but there is support right now for taking those first baby steps forward or the next baby steps. And that's how you're going to figure it out. We will figure it out from here. The unprecedented falling apart of what we thought we could count on is a gift in disguise. It's an opening to asking ourselves what would actually work better. There's an REM song that came out in 1987 called The End of the World as We Know It. And to me, that song has always been such a good representation of how the old world, the old constructs are ending, all this chaos and disillusionment. But it's not the end of the world. It's just the end of the world as we know it, or the world we knew, or the way we were. But it's also a beginning. It's also the beginning of what comes next. Patriarchy, colonialism, environmental justice, racism, homelessness, attacks on science. Like, pick your battle. What is it? Because what hasn't changed up until now could very well change in the coming years if we make it change. And it's not just about being involved, like politically, it's sharing ideas. It's how you impact your community. It's the art you do. It's the love you put into your work and your creativity and so much more. There is a bigger vision, a bigger dream, a bigger possibility, and more audacity needed at this time from your own authentic, courageous sense of purpose. So, what is that for you? I will leave you with that for today. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into these topics in future episodes. I will help you navigate these storms of change with clarity, courage, and creative power. Thank you so much for joining me today and for following and supporting this podcast. Share it with your friends. Let me know what you want to hear more about. I appreciate you being here with me on this journey, and I will see you next time. So until then, be well. This is Marina Orms. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Astrology Heals: Clarity, Courage, and Creative Power. If you'd like to dive in a little deeper with this material, I invite you to join my member community at transformationalastrology.com. There, we work together to unlock the energy of each unique moon cycle through guided meditations, exercises, and more to support you in your journey to be your best self and to be the best you can be to make a positive difference in the world around you. That's transformationalastrology.com. Check it out. You can also find daily Mood of the Day videos on my YouTube channel at Astrology Heals. See you there.